Shine up those bowling shoes. Your Ball State Cardinals are headed to a bowl game. We'll break down the Beef O'Brady's Bowl with the Cardinals and the Knights, and we'll take a look back at a record-breaking season. All that and more. Third Down Chirp starts right now.
Ball State Sports Link's Third Down Chirp is delivered by Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. Visit papajohns.com today for more info.
Hello and welcome into the bowl edition of Third Down Chirp delivered by Papa John's. I'm your host Chris Rankel and joined as always by Pat Bolin and Timmy Fogarty. Guys, it's been a while, but Pat, at this point last year, we were wondering if Ball State was going to a bowl game. No doubts this year they are going to bowl game, and it feels so good.
Last year at 6 wins, they put it into question. This year, 9 wins cemented it. They were pretty much in at that point. Nice to be here, though.
Guys, they ended the season on a 6-game win streak. They're playing their best football right now. I am very excited for this matchup.
And what a great matchup it will be, but what a great season it was for Ball State. 9 wins, only the 5th time in program history that has ever happened, and I think we lost about 30 years off of our lives with how exciting and how close all these games were. So let's take a look back at this season and how it sounded on SportsLink Radio 91.3 WCRD.
Following a 2011 season which saw the Ball State Cardinals bowl eligible for the first time since 2008, 2012 brought a quiet confidence to Muncie. Back was signal caller Keith Wenning, the heart of the defense Travis Freeman, and the nation's most experienced offensive line. But last season ended in disappointment. Ball State was one of 2 6-win teams not to get a bowl invite. To make the next step, it would take even more effort, preparation, and focus. To make the next step, Ball State football would have to rise up.
Ready to go again. He's in shotgun. Edwards back with him. Takes the snap. We'll give it to Edwards. Edwards bounces to the outside. Edwards with a hole. Edwards to 40. It's a foot race. Edwards to midfield to the 40. 35-30. 25-20. He is gone. Touchdown, Jawan Edwards. Will Smith in motion. Wenning takes the snap. Give it to Smith again. Now Smith is going to throw. Goes right side. He's looking for Keith Wenning in the end zone. He caught it. Wow. A diving catch. Keith Wenning, the quarterback, made a diving catch in the end zone. And what a throw by Jamil Smith. State has a chance. Here comes Steven Schott. Onto the hole. The snap is there. It's down. The kick is up. It's on the way. It's got the leg. And it is good. It's good. It's good. Steven Schott puts it through. And he's beaten Indiana on the long second. Steven Schott is a hero! Wow! Ball on the 28-yard line of the Cardinals. Daniels in shotgun, takes the snap, drops the throw, steps, looks, throws left side. It's picked off! It's picked off! The Cardinals have it! Running down the sideline, this is, who picked this off? Still going, and now Patterson will finally fall down at the 45-yard line. The Cardinals will win! And the gun, Edwards back with him. Keith takes the snap, gives to Jawan. Cut. Left, right, to the 10, to the 8, still on his feet, to the 5, 2, 1, he will score! Touchdown, Jawan Edwards, and the Cardinals win on an epic run. Exhale, Muncie. What a just man running the football. Game 27-27 is the score. Edwards moves to the right of Wenning. He takes the snap, gives to Jawan, cuts in the backfield, tries to bounce to the outside of the 15, Jawan to the 10, to the 5, touchdown, Cardinals! Jawan Edwards runs it in from 15 yards out. Dead silent here at the glass bowl. Kelly takes the snap, drops the throw, steps, looks, throws, caught by Fake, 2-1, touchdown. Kelly Page has been in for 3 plays and has 2 scores. Wow.
For the 5th time in school history, Ball State won 9 games in a season. 9-3, with all 3 losses to ranked opponents. This year's team set the foundation for the Cardinals of the future. And with success in the present, the Cardinals combined toughness, determination, and effort. Those attributes allowed Ball State to rise up.
And let's talk a little bit about the progression of this program. It's a program that won 6 wins prior to Pete Lembo coming here, and then after Lembo comes, we're now at 9-3 and a bowl game and bowl eligible for 2 seasons in a row.
Chris, you don't have to look any further than the 4 years we were here for the most perfect example of Ball State's football progression. 2-10 freshman year, 4-8 the second year, kept moving up, got to 6 wins last year, and then all of a sudden this year they're at 9 wins. I mean, just a tremendous turnaround by Pete Lembo. And here's the scary thing, Timmy. I mean, you look at next year's schedule, it's not that tough, and I don't think 10 wins is out of the question, maybe even more.
No, they could absolutely do what Northern Illinois did this year. I mean, their toughest game, their Clemson game, if you will, is at Virginia. So definitely very winnable games. And with all the guys that they have coming back and the culture that Pete Lembo has, pretty much forced in these guys' head is there, this could be a very special team in 2013.
And as he said when he came here and took the job at Ball State, it starts with culture, and it could success could go on for many years to come. And it wasn't only a successful season for Ball State, it was a successful season for the Mid-American Conference as a whole. As we take a look at the final standings in the conference presented by Fox College Sports, Northern Illinois wins the Mid-American Conference. They win the MAC West 12-1. They're headed to the Orange Bowl. Kent State in the East, and Ball State finishes second in the MAC West.
Here's how good the MAC was this year. 6 teams with 8 or more wins. 2 teams could have gone to the Orange Bowl. Northern Illinois, Kent State played. The winner of that game was going to the Orange Bowl. So the fact that Ball State had not 1, but 2 BCS Bowl caliber teams is very impressive.
Now, looking at the Mid-American Conference Bowl schedule, you want to see how great of a year it was for the MAC. 7 bowl teams. That's over half the conference playing in postseason bowls.
If you look at it, a lot of tough matchups for MAC teams on this schedule, but an interesting game to me will be Ohio, Louisiana, Monroe. Both teams started off red hot. Ohio beating Penn State, of course. Both teams have fallen off a little bit at the end, so we'll see which one has more with it come up in their bowl game.
The one that really catches my eye is the Orange Bowl, the Northern Illinois and Florida State game. A lot of people, including myself, had Florida State playing for the national title this year. That didn't happen, but they're a very good team. But Northern Illinois, they're going to play with a chip on their shoulder because they are getting just reamed by the rest of the country for making a BCS bowl game.
And now we're done talking about the rest of the conference. Let's focus on Ball State's bowl game right now. Where's the beef? It's in St. Petersburg. Ball State, UCF in the Beef O'Brady Bowl. And historically speaking for Ball State, going to a bowl game, not the best thing. They're 0-5 in program history in bowl games, still searching for that first win.
Well, first of all, what some people don't realize is the fact that back even like 5-10 years ago, if you weren't one of the top 2 teams in the MAC, you weren't going to a bowl game. So that's kind of hurt Ball State to have a chance to get that win. But you look at some of these pictures from the 2008 bowl game, and then the 2001 the International Bowl. 2 tough losses. That team went 12-0 in 08 and didn't get it. And, this team's been 12-0. It's had, been ranked at points. It's had MAC championships. But one thing it's never had in its history is that bowl game win, the bowl game win.
Well, Chris, you touched on it a little bit. You talked about the culture that Pete Lembo has convinced these players to buy into, and they have. And I think that's one of the reasons that they have a chance in this bowl game to get their first ever program bowl win, because they are treating this just like any other game. They're not going to let the big stage distract them or anything like that. Coach Lembo said in his press conferences before the bowl game, this is a business trip. We might be in sunny Florida, but this is a business trip. So they're going to go down there looking to play and win a football game.
And the team that they're going to play in the Beef O'Brady Bowl, the UCF Knights, eerily similar to Ball State. They come into this game 9-4 after losing into the CUSA championship game. We talked to several players after practice about playing in a bowl game and taking on the Knights.
Oh, that would probably put the icing on the cake, if you ask me. That'd just be that ultimate feeling that you said you've done everything this year for your team to be successful.
In 2008, when I got to be a part of the GMAC Bowl with the 2008 team, I didn't have any expectations going in there. I wasn't going to be playing, so therefore, I wasn't, really part of, what they were doing there. This year, I feel like, everybody wants to go out there and win.
Throughout my career, that's kind of what I wanted to be. We fell short of the trip to Detroit, but this is our championship, honestly.
This year, I'm a fifth-year senior, and really looking forward to go out there to this bowl experience. It's going to be my last football game ever. So I got to take it all in.
No one in Ball State history has won a bowl game. It's only quite a few teams who has won 9 or more games. when you talk about making history, that's the things that I came to this university for. That's what I pride myself on, is to go down there and get a victory and make history at this university. That's the goal, to win a game.
You gotta go out there and play every play like it's your last, because there really is going to be my last play in that game coming up. So I think that all the upperclassmen, Travis, Jameel, Keith, Dane Manick, Cam Lowry, Austin Holtz, those guys. This is really our last game. So we've really got to go out there and play to the best of our abilities and everything that we can do.
And UCF, as I said before, a very similar team to Ball State at 9-4. As we take a look at these two teams closer in our head-to-head segment, starting with the quarterbacks, a little speculation for Ball State as to who's going to start this game. But, Central Florida has Blake Bortles, similar stats all around, and a very good quarterback.
Bortles is a very good quarterback. He's just a sophomore, a very good get for UCF. That touchdown-interception ratio is what is really impressive to me. 22-7, over 3 touchdowns for every interception.
Well, it's definitely going to be interesting for Ball State to see if Keith Winning is able to play. If he does play, just by looking at his stats right there, they're obviously very dangerous through the year. 2,800 yards, 22 TDs, and completes 65.5% of his passes.
In the running back position, Latavius Murray and Jawan Edwards, similar stats and 2 very good running backs.
And they're 2 similar running backs, too. They're both big, bruising running backs. Murray averaging just under 4 yards a carry, Edwards just over 4 yards a carry, both with 14 touchdowns. Very similar styles for these 2 guys.
Remarkable season for Jawan Edwards. 1,300 yards, 14 TDs, and he's only a sophomore. So, can you imagine the playmakers this team's going to have next season?
And at the wide receiver position, J.J. Wharton, the leading receiver for UCF. There's several guys, though, with similar stats. They really don't have a playmaker like Willie Snead.
In case in point, look at the receptions. J.J. Wharton, the leading receptions guy for UCF, has half of those of Willie Snead. They'll spread it out more. The Cardinals like to spread it out, but UCF will spread it out even more. 6, 7, 8 different targets that they'll hit.
Absolutely. They have another guy, Rennell Hall. He has pretty much identical stats to J.J. Wharton. 4 TDs on the season, about 43 yards a game. But Pat, you just said it, they don't really have a playmaker like Willie Snead.
And on defense, 2 similar defenses who have struggled at points throughout this season, but really caught their wind at the end.
And when people have asked me to compare Ball State to a team that they've seen, a team I picked is Toledo. And both teams have good quarterbacks, good running backs, good special teams. But the biggest reason I say that is because of the 2 defenses. UCF plays very good bend but don't break. They get a lot of turnovers, and what's really impressive is that red zone percentage. Now, you might look at it and on the outside say 73. That actually is a very impressive stat. When you think about it, for every 10 times an opponent gets in the red zone, almost 3 they don't get any points. Not a field goal, not a touchdown. That's a very good stat for UCF. They only allowed just over 22 points a game.
UCF is one of the better defenses in the country. They only give up 22.5 points a game. That's pretty incredible, because Conference USA is a lot like, the MAC. You're going to score a lot of points. That's just how you win football games. And then also UCF guys, plus 11 on the year on turnovers, so a very good team at forcing turnovers. That is exactly why they've won so many games.
And with how good the season ended for Ball State on a 6-game winning streak, the one knock against them is that the injuries really started to pile up, as Keith Wenning notably going down against Ohio, Kelly Page suffering a concussion against Miami. So let's talk a little bit about the injuries that are piling up. Luckily, it looks like the quarterback position, we're not going to have Kyle Kamen starting under center.
Well, we hope we don't have Kyle Kamen. No offense to Kyle Kamen starting under center, but we don't know yet if Keith Wenning's ready to go. That I think is going to be really close, down to the last minute kind of deal. But if it's not him, Kelly is in much better situation than Keith is. I would expect Kelly is ready to go if Keith is not. And the other good thing to me is they've got Jamil Smith. Yep. So if they do have to start Kelly Page, and if Kelly gets hurt like against Miami, they can throw Jamil Smith in there instead of the walk-on freshman.
Well, that's the biggest thing, is if Kelly's able to play, that adds just another weapon at the receiver position with Jamil Smith, because hopefully he should be 100%. So if Jamil Smith is 100% at receiver and Kelly Page is playing quarterback, yeah, the rushing attack is going to be a little more focused, but when you add Jamil out there, if they can cut off Willie Snead and you have those 2 guys working together, that's a tough duo to stop, guys.
Now, while going to Florida is going to be a vacation for most Ball State players, for several of them, they're going home. Timmy Fogarty, Brad Daly, Chris Kaczynski, and I give you a look at 2 Ball State players from a remote part of Florida where football is everything, and before you can chase your dreams, you first have to chase something else. Belle Glade, Florida, a place next to the middle of nowhere.
Nestled just outside the Everglades, they don't have much in Belglade, but they do have the muck. Anything you put in the muck will grow. Sugarcane, violence, or in Ball State's case, star football players.
Growing up in Belglade, everything is focused around football. When you're growing up there, it's either football is the way out, or you're basically stuck there working at the sugar mill like a lot of our parents grew up.
When there's nothing going on besides football, everybody turns to the streets. Usually it's selling drugs, getting into gangs, gang-related stuff, not doing much. There's nothing to really do in Belglade. It's either you're going to jail, selling drugs, or you got to get a job in the city, which, doesn't make much money.
Like all we have really is the sugar mill. That's all we have, that and football.
If you want to get out of Belglade, it's through football. There's a lot of guys that came out of Belglade. My dad, he made it out. And it's fortunate, not a lot of people make it out.
It is like intense as far as like a kid can drop a pass or something and the fans it's very serious down there. It's probably the closest thing to a college atmosphere that you'll get in high school. If we have a losing season, it's not tolerated. If we lose one game, it's not tolerated. You have coaches getting fired like it's a college. Like the fans are very serious when it comes to football down there.
Football is everything down there, and when you go down there to watch the games, you can tell that the talent is like crazy.
That's just the way it goes back home. It's either football or nothing else.
But before players can chase their football dreams, they're first led on another chase. For some, it's survival. Others, for fun. It's the chase of the rabbit.
Rabbit chasing is, basically like, it's not like tag, but you're trying to catch this rabbit, this little cottontail thing.
Oh, well, they burn the cane according to the wind, and you just stay on the opposite side of the where the fire is burning, and you just go to work. Really, it's just something to do. Get you outside of football. It's fun. Rabbits taste good. Taste like chicken almost. The first time I went, I didn't catch anything. The second time I went, it probably took me about 5-10 minutes. Like I caught on quick.
I did it one time, and I was just like amazed of how fast it's moving. Because you look at it on TV, it's like, oh, it's not moving that fast. But when you're behind it, trying to chase it, it's moving all different directions, bouncing left and right, running full speed, make a cut, just crazy.
Once you've had a taste of rabbit, it tastes like chicken. There's no point in just letting them just sit out there. The funniest thing to us is when we go out there and we see people out there with like shotguns or whatnot, shooting the rabbits, because we chase them. We don't go out there with like guns and all that. The muck rabbits, they get so scared and they panic that they'll really freak themselves out, and it's not too hard to catch them at all. You're running through soft cane and muck. The soil's like very, very soft. And just running through that is kind of like almost like running on the beach, running through sand where the ground just gives away as you run. So it helps you build strength in your legs, your calves and whatnot. And then the constant like cutting and moving, trying to catch the rabbit just helps you as far as like your quickness, your agility. And that's all stuff that coincidentally transfers to the football field. It's not like, we go out there like, oh, this is gonna make us better for football. It just happens that way.
Now out of the muck, Swaby and Snead excel on the field for Ball State. Thousands of miles away, they don't forget the lessons Belglade taught them.
It's helped me a lot, getting to see, just guys work, what comes out of Belglade. Guys are working so hard to get out. They work out their game. They work at their game so much because, without this, there's no way out.
Growing up in a town with such poverty, and just seeing all that around you as far as violence, drugs, and whatnot, growing up around football just really humbles you. Humbles you just to want to do better than, like, I grew up in a house where my parents were real strict on us, and just seeing all that just makes me want to grow up and just be better than what they did, and that's what they want from me. And it just motivates you really, just to not want to have to live like that.
I just want to be one of the greatest coming out of Belglade. I want to make my dad proud of me, make my whole family proud, and when I think about the guys that made out and what they're doing now, I just have high expectations for myself, and in college or going to the next level, I just want to be the best that I can be.
You can take the player out of the muck, but you can't take the muck out of the player. The roots just go too deep. For Ball State Sports Link, I'm Chris Rankel.
And also something interesting about that, Jared Swaby facing his old team in UCF. Coach Lance has said that they're going to utilize him as much as they can to come up with a little extra inside info for a game plan. So we'll be watching Snead and Swaby. Pat, who else should we be watching in this game?
For me, it's the Cardinal middle linebacker Travis Freeman. With all the things that UCF does so well on offense, the passing game, the running game, Travis Freeman is going to really have a lot of pressure on him to play well. And you go back to that Toledo game, a team that's very similar offensively to UCF. Freeman had one of his best days of the year. So I look to Travis Freeman to be the key to success for the Cardinal defense.
Well, mine's going to be not a player, but a position, and it's going to be the quarterbacks. And I think because we don't know if Keith Winning's going to play, we don't know if Kelly Page is going to play, we don't really know what to expect. And depending on who's in the game, guys, the offense changes drastically. If Kelly Page is in the game, the running attack is going to be more key. And then you see right there where he got hurt. If Keith Winning's in the game, he was responsible for 2,800 yards passing, 22 TDs on the season. So depending on who's in the game is kind of the style of offense you're going to run. So I'm really interested to see who is playing at quarterback for Ball State.
And it's hard to pick an area to improve with a team that's won 6 straight games and had a phenomenal season overall. But who is your player to improve?
Well, for player to improve, I'm going to do what I wish I could do on my finals, and that is cheat. I'm going with Keith Winning's ankle. This is what needs to improve, not Winning his ankle as he quickly rehabs, tries to get back in time for the game. It's going to be really close. Keith Winning's ankle. Now, obviously, we're comfortable in Kelly Page, but Winning is the #1 guy for a reason, and it's his ankle that needs to get better. Mine's
not even a guy that needs to improve. It's just a guy that needs to show up and have a big day, and that's going to be Willie Snead. Willie Snead is a playmaker for this Ball State team. He has 7 TDs on the season, over 1,000 yards receiving, and almost 100 yards a game. So he really needs to show up this game and put up big numbers for Ball State, guys.
Now, Ball State 0-5 historically in bowl games. What's it going to take to bring Ball State their first bowl win in program history?
For me, the key to the game for Ball State, at least, is the running game offensively. And we don't know, again, if it's going to be Kelly or if it's going to be Keith at quarterback. Either way, though, the running game's going to have to play well, and it's going to have to play especially well if it's Kelly, just because you need to take some of the pressure off of him throwing the football. But I think if the running game's good, the Cardinal offense will be good.
Mine's going to be on the defensive side of the ball. Bend, don't break. The last 3 games of the season, they held number 25 Toledo to just 27, Ohio to just 27, and Miami, Ohio to 24. And guys, an interesting stat, UCF, when scoring 30 or more points, 9-0. When scoring less than 30 points, 0-4.
And Ball State has held their opponents in 5 of the last 6 games under 30 points, so we'll definitely be watching that. All right, it's now time for our What's Chirping question of the week. Thank you, everybody who tweeted in a question at Third Down Chirper, #TweetPete. So here is our final winner on our bowl special at B. Tomlins, who asked, UCF is 9th in the nation for points allowed. What must Ball State do to put up points?
For me, 3 simple words: red zone efficiency. Steven Schott is one of the top kickers in the nation. I don't want to see him on the field that much. Ball State's going to need to get touchdowns instead of field goals. You don't beat UCF kicking a lot of field goals.
Well, playing against UCF is a lot like any MAC opponent. You're going to win games by scoring touchdowns, not by kicking field goals. So I think one of the biggest things is going to be the rushing game for Ball State has to be on, Pat. And you stressed that a little bit. So the rushing attack for Ball State has to be there. They have to be able to run the clock out, rush the football. I think that's how they're going to be successful.
Thank you very much for your question at B. Tomlin. You've won our final free pizza courtesy of Papa John's. And for the latest news and stories in Ball State sports, remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Just search Ball State Sports Link. In a very exciting coming bowl week, the Sports Link iPad app with exclusive content all about Ball State football. So be on the lookout for that. All right, prediction time. You guys are tied at 19. You could not have scripted this better throughout this season. Tied up at 19 for all the marbles. Pat, who you got?
I'm going a little bit of history here, guys. I'm saying Ball State gets their first win in a bowl game ever, 35-31, so I guess I'm going against your trend. UCF does score 30-plus points, but Ball State scores just a little bit more, gets the W.
I'm going to go with the Price is Right tactic here. I'm going to undercut you. I'm going to go Ball State wins 28-21. The defense has been playing well. I think they're going to be prepared, and I think they do hold UCF to under 30 points and make them go 0-5.
It should be a great game. 7:30 kickoff in St. Petersburg, Florida. The Beef O'Brady's Bowl, the Cardinals and the Knights. If you can't make it down to the game, or even if you can, as always, listen to the three of us, SportsLink Radio 91.3, WCRD, and WCRD.net. All right, that's going to wrap up this bowl special for Third Down Chirp. Remember, you can watch some Fox College Sports nationally, across the state on Comcast Indiana, and locally in Muncie on WIPB TV. And remember, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and watch out for that iPad app. There's a lot of content on there. It looks pretty cool. We've seen a few promos of it. So remember, game December 21st, 7:30 p.m. Go down and support your Cardinals. It should be a great way to kick off the holiday season with a Ball State win. So until next time, for Pat Boylan and Timmy Fogarty and all of us here at SportsLink, I'm Chris Rankel. Thank you for watching us all season long, and go Cardinals.